Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I don't have my typical curtain slide up. We were having some technical difficulties, so thank you for your patience. I'm happy to have everyone with us today. I am Mary Beth Kwapniewski. I am the program coordinator here at SCAN. We have a wonderful presentation today, or two wonderful presentations today. Our first presenter is Dr. Gavin, and she is with Hackensack Meridian JFK Medical Center. Talking about an extremely important topic, and last month, May, was Health Awareness Month. So Dr. Gavin, I would like to introduce you to our webinar participants today. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I will let you do your presentation. And just as a reminder, the chat feature on the webinar can take any of your questions, which Dr. Gavin will answer at the conclusion of her presentation. So Dr. Gavin, it's all yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Karissa Gavin. I am an audiologist at Hackensack Meridian Health, JFK Medical Center. I've been here for 3 years. Prior to working here, I worked at an ENT practice, an ear, nose, and throat practice. I went to Hofstra University for my doctorate, and I went to Brooklyn College for undergrad. So today we're going to talk about how to preserve your hearing and how to maximize your communication. And as Mary Beth mentioned, please feel free to put any questions in the chat box, and I'll be more than happy to answer them at the end. So let's begin. Okay, so there are many signs of hearing loss. Some people at first notice that their ears are ringing, buzzing, hissing, any type of sound like that. A lot of people say that everyone mumbles. It sounds like you could hear people talking, but you can't understand what they're saying. So you hear the speech, but it's just not clear. Difficulty hearing in background noise. So you go to a restaurant with your friends and you can't hear them speaking because there's just too much going on in the background. Turning up the television. You used to have the volume on 20, now you have the volume on 40. Asking for repetition. So going back to the restaurant scenario, what'd you say? What'd you say? Just keep asking for that repetition because it might not be clear. And then the avoidance of social situations. So just not going to that restaurant anymore because you can't hear when you go there. So if you have any of these symptoms, what do? What's next? So step 1 would be a medical examination by a primary care physician or a specialist. I mentioned an ENT, ear, nose, and throat doctor before. You just want to rule out any underlying health conditions. So, you could have something in your ears like wax or fluid that's blocking the transmission of sound. So you want to get all that taken care of. After that, it would be an audiological evaluation to identify the presence or the degree of the hearing loss. So that would be scheduled with an audiologist like myself. You would be in a soundproof booth, raise your hand when you hear the beep. We would do some speech testing. And then we would talk about options, which is step 3. So we would do what's called a hearing aid evaluation, and we would talk about the different styles of hearing aids and what's appropriate for your hearing loss. Okay, so there are some steps you can follow to maintain healthy hearing. So annual hearing tests to monitor for changes in hearing. So if you haven't already done so, it's a good idea to get an initial hearing test because you want to know if you have normal hearing or if you don't. And then once a year, you want to check to see, is it getting worse? Is it staying the same? So that's definitely important. As always, a healthy diet and exercise, metabolic changes can negatively impact hearing, and then hearing protection. So if you're exposed to loud sounds, if you go to a concert, even places like a wedding can be quite noisy. So you could see that little graphic there is pictures of different options to protect your hearing. Okay. So there are many options for hearing technology. So hearing aids are not what they used to be many years ago. They're not big, bulky devices anymore. They do come in different styles. So the graphic on the right, it shows you they can go behind the ear, they can go in the ear, they can even be invisible in the canal now. There's rechargeable options, so you don't have to fumble with a tiny little battery anymore. You can just put it on a charger like you would your cell phone. There's Bluetooth options, so you can, pick up your phone and talk like this. Or if you're wearing hearing aids, you don't even have to pick up the phone. It will just wirelessly go to your hearing aids. There's cochlear implants, that's for profound hearing loss. There's CapTel phones, so basically, if you get a phone call and you can't hear what they're saying, you could read what they're saying. So there's an interpreter on the other, side of the phone that is transferring whatever is said into text. And then there's other assistive listening devices. There's something called TV ears to make the TV sound more audible to you. There are a whole bunch of options, not just hearing aids. Just gonna take a sip.
Hello. Well, I've got a screen up.
I think somebody is not muted. I'm hearing somebody talking.
Dr. Gavin, hold on. I need to mute. I apologize. It's our other presenter and I just need to mute her.
Okay.
Let's see. We got her. Well, it's good news. We got her microphone to work. Okay. All right. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
It's okay. All right. So in addition to hearing aid technology, there are other things you can do to, help make your communication a little bit easier. So there's oral rehabilitation, which is basically learning about different ways to maximize your listening. So how to listen in noise, where to seat yourself when, it's very noisy. And there is something called the LACE program, which can train you on the computer. And I can provide more information if you would like that. Caption television, reading what is being said on the television. TV ears, like I mentioned, it's basically like headphones so that you can listen at a comfortable volume and everybody else can listen at a different volume. Alerting devices. These are important if you have very severe hearing loss. So if you're afraid you're not going to hear the fire alarm, or you're afraid you're not going to hear the doorbell or your cell phone ring, there's things like a vibration that can occur in your pillow or on your bed. But again, those are for people who have a lot of hearing loss. Speech reading, reading lips. It's been very hard because of masks and things, because of COVID. But when masks are off and you have access to the person's mouth, sometimes reading lips can really help fill in the blanks. So some environmental strategies. Make sure you have the person you're talking to's attention. You want to be facing each other. Try to reduce the distance. Again, because of COVID, this has been hard as well. Mute the television or music or whatever is in the background. It will make it easier to hear the person. If you wear glasses, make sure you're wearing those. So again, it makes it easier to lip read. Also with lighting, if it's very dark, you're not going to be able to lip read. Closing windows and doors, because a lot of background noise comes from that. Consider going to restaurants at off-peak hours. It will be a bit more quiet and you'll be able to choose where you can sit. So if you can sit next to a wall, that will reduce background noise. And obviously sit near the speaker whenever possible. So there's a lot of research out there now that says hearing loss and dementia are linked. So hearing loss accelerates brain function, decline in older adults. So there's a link to accelerated brain tissue loss. So what does this mean? This means if you have hearing loss, the pathways from your ear that lead up to your brain are not being stimulated the way that they once were. So they begin to shut down. When these pathways shut down, there's a saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. That's basically what happens with your pathways from your ear up to your brain. So it's very important that if you have hearing loss, you wear hearing aids, because a lack of auditory stimulation may lead to auditory deprivation. So this right here is how hearing loss impacts the hearing process. So your brain receives less sound information when you have hearing loss. So this makes it harder for your brain to recognize sound. Then you're having to guess what people are saying, and it forces you to concentrate harder. The extra effort leaves less mental capacity for remembering conversations. You'll begin to feel more tired because your brain is working in overdrive, and you're more tempted to withdraw from social interaction. So again, the link between hearing loss and cognition, auditory processing in older adults, it leads to more time. You need more time to understand and process what is being said. You'll have to ask for repetition. Don't be afraid to involve a family member. And don't be afraid to take out a piece of paper and say, hey, could you write down what you're saying? I'm having a hard time hearing you. Basically, we just want to keep going. We don't want to isolate ourselves. There are many things you can do, to make up for the hearing loss that you have, whether it's wearing hearing aids, any of the strategies I mentioned, anything that will keep you going. And don't be afraid to seek help. A lot of people put it off. In fact, the average time between noticing a hearing loss and doing something about it is 10 years. And don't forget what I said, if you don't use it, you lose it. So don't wait 10 years. If you have any of the symptoms that I mentioned, get a hearing test. That's the first step. So you may notice behavioral symptoms if you're dealing with someone who you think has hearing loss. You may notice that they have a decreased speech understanding, that they're asking for repetition, that they come off as having short-term memory problems and difficulty following conversations. So don't just think about yourself, think about the people around you, your loved ones. If you're noticing they have any of these symptoms, tell them, hey, have you gotten your hearing checked? Okay. So just a little recap. First year primary care doctor, make sure there's no underlying medical conditions, get a hearing test. If you're noticing any of the symptoms that I mentioned, if your loved ones are noticing any of the symptoms I mentioned, there are communication strategies, lip reading, where you sit. There's a ton of options technology-wise. There's hearing aids, there are caption telephones, TV ears. There are so many things that audiologists can do to help you. You just have to admit that something is happening. That's the first step. Okay, let's see if there's any questions.
Yes, Dr. Gavin, you have one in the chat.
Let's see. Is there a hearing aid that helps with enunciation and not just volume? So that's a great question. So all hearing aids will help with volume, but there are different levels of technology. So there's entry-level hearing aids, and then we'll call, top of the line hearing aids. So the top of the line hearing aids will help you more with things like enunciation. So hearing aids, it depends how well your clarity of speech is to begin with. So if your clarity of speech, which you will get a percentage when you see an audiologist, if your clarity of speech is good, you will have more success with hearing aids. But if your clarity of speech is poor, the hearing aids can only do so much. So the top of the line will help you a little bit better with enunciation, but there's only so much it can do if your clarity of speech has already declined. And this is something that we want to preserve. So it's important once you get that percentage that you understand that that's the best that you will be able to hear. Hearing aids will not be able to make that better for you. It will just be able to preserve what you already have. Does that make sense?
And then we have another question about cost, which is going to be a question I had as well, because I know they range in cost. I have a family member that wears hearing aids.
Yes. So Joanne asked, the cost of hearing aids are for some of us cost prohibitive. Is Medicare recognizing this? So audiologists are advocating and trying the best that we can to have Medicare cover all or some. We're not really getting too far in doing that, but we're trying. Medicare, unfortunately, does not cover the cost of hearing aids, which is, of course, a shame because a lot of people do need them. But there is a wide range of hearing aids. You know, you can get an entry-level product for, you know, maybe $1,800 for a pair, but then they go all the way up to about close to $7,000 for a pair. And depending on what level of technology you get, you may lose out on some things. So the higher end ones will do better in background noise because they'll be able to reduce, you know, the background noise and amplify the speaker, but the lower end ones won't do that as well. So that's something that you'll talk to your audiologist about to see what, you know, you're giving up if you go lower in technology.
Dr. Gavin, one of the questions about hearing aids is how long do they usually use, are they good for? Do you have to buy them on a regular basis? You know, what's the time frame?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the typical recommendation from most manufacturers is 3 to 5 years. Have I seen people wear hearing aids longer than that? I sure have. I've seen, you know, 10 years. Have I seen people that just like to keep up with technology? You know, every time a new hearing aid comes out, they get it. Yes, but you could expect about 5 years.
And I apologize, I missed the beginning helping the other presenter. Did you mention that some of the hearing aids have the Bluetooth capability?
I did. Yep.
Okay. All right. You know, this slide, and someone asked about one of the slides about the environmental strategies, which is excellent. Again, having a loved one with a hearing impairment. We will be sharing our slides as a link, if that's okay with Dr. Gavin, and it's recorded, so everyone will get this. But, you know, one of the things I tell my dad all the time is always, like you said, make sure you get someone's attention, but it's also tell them I'm hearing impaired so they know to slow down their speech, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A lot of times
when looking at the chat.
Yeah, a lot of times when you go to appointments or go to a store, you know, people aren't looking at you. You need to tell them that you have a hearing impairment.
You're more likely to notice that somebody keeps asking for repetition than you are to notice that they're actually wearing a device behind their ear.
So that's the slide that someone asked to see again.
Yes, this is it. And then I see here, Lee asked the difference between doctor issued hearing aids versus the ones you see on TV, which is a great question. So the ones that you see on TV a lot of times are just amplifiers. So they take everything and make it louder. And traditionally, hearing loss as we age happens more in the high pitches than the low pitches. So a lot of people, it's called presbycusis. It's just like a sloping hearing loss. A lot of people have trouble hearing female voices or children's voices or hearing in background noise. And the ones issued by an audiologist will amplify only where you need the amplification. So you'll get more amplification in the high pitches than the low pitches. So, you know, the ones you see on TV, if they're an amplifier, it's going to make everything equally as loud, which can actually make your hearing even worse.
Let me see, are there any other ones? Someone asked about brand of hearing aids, foreign or domestic. Are there any?
These are all great questions. So sure, I can make recommendations. So here at JFK, we work with all of the big manufacturers. So there are 6 big manufacturers. So there, you might be familiar with some of these. There is Starkey, there's Oticon, there's Widex, there's Resound, there's Phonak. These are all the big manufacturers that we work with. And really the only one that's domestic is Starkey. The other ones, they're in, the UK. I don't remember exactly where, but the only one that's domestic is Starkey. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that Starkey is housed in the US and the others are not. They all have very similar device, we'll call them features. They all are able to reduce background noise and amplify the speaker. Siemens too, yes. I think I only said 5 then, because that is a 6th one. So they all have the Bluetooth features. They're all able to be rechargeable, but you want to stick with one of the big manufacturers because they all come with warranties. They all, amplify, like I explained, where you need the amplification to be. They're not taking everything and making it louder. They all have a great reputation. They've been around for many, many years. They all stay up to date with the current technology. So if you can stick with one of those big companies, I would definitely do that.
I have to say, these are really great questions.
They are.
Very good questions. So any final thoughts, Dr. Gavin? Because again, you were one of our guests on Scan FYI, which was really, really well received. And our big message there was, your hearing isn't just about, hearing what somebody's saying. It's more than just that, which obviously you've brought to our attention today. It's our overall health.
Exactly. Yep. You want to be able to go to the doctor and hear what the doctor is saying to you. You want to be able to communicate with your family. These are all things that might not be as easy as they once were when you have hearing loss, but certainly seeing an audiologist and acting on it can make your life and your loved ones' lives much easier.
Dr. Gavin, when the next presenter comes on, would you be able to just put in the chat the list of the names that you mentioned? Because someone's just asking if you
Sure.
could list all of them.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
So I thank Dr. Gavin for being with us today, and your presentation was excellent. And I hope everyone will, give some thought to getting their hearing checked if that's not something you're already doing.
Yep. Oh, one more question I see here. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Can hearing aids help with ringing in the ears? So the simple answer is yes and no. So hearing aids do have what's called tinnitus maskers in them, so they can make background noise. So what that does is it gives your brain something else to focus on. So your brain will focus on hearing background noise and not focus on the tinnitus, which will in time suppress the tinnitus. So it can't make tinnitus go away, or ringing in your ears. It can't make it go away, but it trains your brain to focus on other things so that it doesn't focus on the tinnitus.
And I see one last question in terms of pricing, which I'm guessing they're talking about hearing aids. Is it much over or under $2,000 for a pair of hearing aids, or a single hearing aid, I should say?
So there is a very, very wide range. And you do lose things as you go down in price. So, instead of a 3-year warranty, you might have a 1-year warranty. There's a lot that goes into it. So you can get a pair of hearing aids for about $1,800, or you can get a pair of hearing aids for $6,000. And what you get, because you're going down in price, you do lose things. So here we have like a great, flyer, I guess we'll call it, that explains, the different levels of technology. But it's based on your lifestyle. So if you live a quiet lifestyle, you're always home, you just need it for the TV and things like that, you can go lower in technology. But if you're someone that's always going out to restaurants, always at weddings, you know, trying to conversate with your grandchildren and your family, you want to go higher in technology because it will be able to reduce the background noise and focus on the speaker. I'm reading one more question here.
That's it. What are some ways to convince someone that they need hearing help? For one family member, the final blow was not hearing his grandchildren at a conversation at the table.
That's a very popular thing. People tend to get very upset when they can't hear their grandchildren. So basically just telling, you know, in a nice way, it's very hard to communicate with you. You know, I feel like we don't have the relationship that we could have because it's hard to communicate with you. You know, the grandchildren are always saying, why can't grandma or grandpa hear what I'm saying? Why do I always have to repeat myself? You know, sometimes it does take a personal incident to open up someone's eyes, but just saying, you know, hey, if you got your hearing checked and, you know, we got you hearing aids, it would make our lives easier. It would make your life easier. And just talking about the brain function. So we want to keep your brain young. We want you to preserve your hearing. We don't want you to, you know, down the line get dementia when, you know, we could have done something about it.
Thank you again, and great questions from our audience and attendees today. So Dr. Gavin, once again, thank you so much for being with us. And if you could just put the manufacturers in the chat, that would be wonderful.
Sure. No problem.
Okay, thank you again. I'm going to just come on video a second and okay. And our second presenter is Karen Livingstone. So Karen, I'm just going to ask you to unmute. I know your camera isn't working. So let's see if I'll give Karen a second to come on. Karen, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I can.
Hi,
hear you.
Karen. Hi, Karen.
Hello.
All right. So we're going to give Karen an opportunity to share her screen because she has a wonderful presentation today about our Monmouth County Park System. And in the interim, I will just give a little PA announcement about SCAN. So our fall semester is beginning on September 13th. So please be on the lookout within the next 2 weeks for an email with the fall class listing. We had many responses to our surveys. So whoever took the surveys, we're very grateful for that. And survey says that we are returning to in-person classes with, again, limited capacity and continuing to maintain our online classes. So we hope there is something for everyone come the fall semester. So again, just stay tuned for your emails. And for those of you who are SCAN members, you will be receiving the hard copy in the mail as well. So Karen, let's see, is the screen share?
I'm trying to share it. I'm very sorry about the technical
okay.
weakness
That's
over
okay.
here.
That's okay. Did you select this share screen button?
I did. And
okay, and then it should show on your desktop where your PowerPoint presentation is.
Yes, it's up on the screen, the PowerPoint.
Okay, but it's not coming up as a screen share. So go back to the Zoom screen and click on that share your screen button.
Okay, viewers, okay. Share with people settings.
You want to click on the
Link.
box above the screen share word. Click on that.
Okay.
And then you should see your PowerPoint.
Which I do see.
Okay, but it's not coming up as a screen share,
No,
unfortunately.
it's not coming up. Oh, it's so beautiful too. I love the parks.
Okay, so let me just ask you, what do you see right now on your screens? You just see my video is up?
I see you.
Okay, and at the very bottom where your toolbar is, you see the button that says screen share.
Yes.
Okay, so click on the arrow pointing up, not that little caret mark, but the arrow right above screen share.
Arrow above screen share.
Or
Well,
actually, if you hit Alt S, that's another way to do screen share.
Let's see. I've hit screen share, but I'm just, let me see, I'll try it again. Alt S. Hey, can you
Okay.
see?
No, it's not coming through at, oh, there we go. Hold on. Okay.
Is it coming?
Yeah, I see it. Okay, so if you click on done, that should get rid of that screen. And there we go.
Nope.
No, just hit done, right? And then you want to click on, where's your button that allows you to see the full slide? I'm not familiar with this format. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Well, you know what? Worst case scenario, we'll go with this. It's fine.
Can anybody see
Yes,
that?
we can say it. We can all say it. And if anyone wants to put in the chat that they can confirm that they can say it, but if I can see it, everyone else should be able to see it.
So
So
you're seeing the entire thing. You're not seeing,
I'm seeing exactly what you are. So
yeah.
you just need to be able to advance each slide as you go. But I'm looking for the button that actually puts you in slideshow mode. Oh, here, start presentation. There you go. Okay.
We're getting there.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So let me introduce Karen Livingstone is with the Monmouth County Park System, which again, as we're coming out of the pandemic, we hope that everyone's getting out and about. And certainly during the pandemic, I know my family, that was our outlet, was hitting the park system. We explored so many trails we never knew existed before in some of the parks that are just around where we live. So I'm happy to have Karen with us today to, again, give us a little bit of history about the park system, and hopefully you'll learn some new hotspots to venture into as we are starting our summer months. So Karen, I will hand it over to you.
Hi, thank you. Hi, everyone. This is my very first Zoom, so forgive me for the technical weakness that I've shown. But I would like to introduce you to the Monmouth County Park System. And first of all, let me tell you, it began in 1960 for all of us, when something major happened to New Jersey. Coming through the Monmouth County at that time was the construction of the Garden State Parkway. And this slide shows construction. And what happened, there was 24 acres of leftover land, and it was sold to our freeholders at that time. And what they did was they decided to open a park, and they called it down Shark River Park. It was down in the Shark River area. And something interesting happened. Nearly 6,000 visitors came in the first year to Shark River Park. So our freeholders knew there was something that was wanted in Monmouth County. Then in 1961, they added another feature to the park, and a pond was built. So this is the beginning, the very beginning of the Monmouth County Park System. And last year, we celebrated 60 years. Now, today we have 43 sites. Now there are over 17,800 acres of preserved land for open space in county parks. We have parks, golf courses, historic sites, recreation areas, conservation areas, and agricultural sites. Our long-term goal is 21,017 acres. We are overseen by a board of recreation commissioners who are all volunteers, and they are appointed by now our Board of County Commissioners. Our park system includes beaches. This is a view of Seven Presidents Oceanfront Park. and which is enjoyed by many, many people. We have golf courses. We have 6 locations and 8 golf courses. Deep Cut Gardens, you must pay to visit. It's absolutely beautiful. This is the horticultural park of the Monmouth County Park System, and they offer beautiful gardens to look to tour through. They have programs, and it's just a wonderful site. And it's not a very big park. It's about 54 acres. We have some beautiful scenic overlooks. This photo was taken at Mount Mitchell Scenic Overlook. And Mount Mitchell is about 266 feet above sea level. And a lot of people come up here just for the scenery. You can see the skyline of New York City and also Sandy Hook Bay. But also there's a monument for our 9/11 that we pay respects for our 9/11 ceremony each year in September. We have 140 miles of trails. We have campgrounds at Turkey Swamp Park, and we're very successful campgrounds. And there are also 3 log cabins for those who don't want to sleep out in the tent. But they're mostly full just about every weekend through November. So it's a very busy campground. A lot of people don't know we have a marina, and we do at Port Monmouth at the Bayshore Waterfront Park. This is the Monmouth Cove Marina. And the Sunnyside Equestrian Center is home to our spur program, Special People United to Ride. And it's a therapeutic horseback riding program. Fort Monmouth Recreation Area is in Tinton Falls. Now, this is a location that offers a lot. It belonged to Fort Monmouth, and when Fort Monmouth closed down, the park system was able to acquire the recreation center. This building was designed for lots of recreation. There's an Olympic-sized swimming pool with open swims. There is inside basketball courts, tennis courts. They have cooking programs over there, lots of sports and fitness. It's a great place to visit and to find out more. But we also have playgrounds, a spray ground at Doorbrook. We have athletic fields and courts throughout the parks. We have 2 off-leash dog areas, one at Wolf Hill in Oceanport and the other at Thompson Park. We have a skate park, which is enjoyed by people from all over at 7 Presidents, and disc golf. Disc golf is a combination of soccer and golf. It's where you kick a soccer ball around the field and sink it in a hole over a golf course. So that's foot golf at Bel Air and Pine Brook. So that is a very, athletic journey as you run through the golf courses, with a soccer ball. But the Monmouth County Park System is not only parks. We have some other goals, and one is protecting our potable water resources. This is a photo of the Manasquan Reservoir. This is a man-made reservoir that was built in 1998 to help protect our water resources. But we're also buying land along the other greenways, rivers, and waterways, because it's very important to think about the future and protecting our water resources. So you may notice as we're continuing to buy land that you can enjoy seeing us buy watersheds and other places where we have water and to protect our water resources. We're also helping to preserve farmlands. This is a great opportunity for farmers, is when we purchase a farm, we lease it back to farmers. In that way, farmers don't have to pay a lot of taxes for this land, and they can actually continue farming. We'd like to keep farming in Monmouth County, as it's a very agricultural, it was based on agricultural county. Protection of our forests from overdevelopment is very important to us. And considering 57% of our park system is forest. We provide a lot of habitats. We're always working to protect endangered species such as eagles, who are coming back strongly. You'll see monarch butterflies, and we do a lot of plantings of milkweed and butterfly weed and other plantings to help the monarch butterflies, and piping plovers. Although the piping plovers haven't, we had them at 7 Presidents Oceanfront Park, and their numbers have dwindled over the years. And we're afraid that 7 Presidents, none have come back this year. And we're a little worried that they won't be coming back to 7 Presidents. But there are other birds that we're working to protect there, least terns and oyster catchers. The park system is also working to help preserve the past. We have several historic sites. This is historic Longstreet Farm. And you can see that the staff and volunteers there actually dress just as they did in the 1890s. And they still farm just the way they did in the 1890s. So on a regular basis, you may see a hay wagon drawn by some horses, or you may see the mule pulling a plow out in the field. The egg collecting for the chickens is still the same. And the old-fashioned way of milking a cow. Sometimes they offer programs like that. I know that I've participated, and it was quite an experience. Historic Wallingford is beautiful. We're known for that blue grist mill right there. The park system has, there are 2 grist mills, working grist mills in the state of New Jersey, and the park system is lucky to have our beautiful blue one at historic Wallingford. Now this is Thompson Park. Thompson Park is probably home. We could consider it home to our headquarters of the park system. My office is right in that building there. That is our visitor center. But I must tell you that this is a replica of the original building. The original building burned down in 2006. It burned right to the ground. But we had insurance, and we were able to rebuild so that we have a very nice replica of the original building, and we reopened in 2009. But it is still considered a historic site, not because of this building only, but because of the entire park area, because it's Brookdale Farm, the original farm. And you can see the beginnings of Monmouth Racetrack were right from Brookdale Farm. We had horses that ran there. And the first filly to win the Kentucky Derby actually was from Brookdale Farm. We have lots of buildings and barns, a 40-stall barn that are from the original estate. And of course, we welcome you to stop by and take a look. This is the Seabrook Wilson House. Now, many people still remember it as the Spy House in Port Monmouth. Excuse me, in Port Monmouth. But I must tell you, there are no ghosts. And I'm very happy that I met a woman the other day who actually grew up when she was a child in this house, and her family grew up there. And she actually asked me why people call it the Spy House or believe that there are ghosts there. And because there was a woman who was there working for Middletown, and this building was a museum. And the museum wasn't doing all that well until one year she decided to do some Halloween things and tell ghost stories and things like that. And everybody seemed to like it. And it just grew from there. She had up there in the upper right-hand corner there, she had a mannequin sitting in a rocking chair, and she backlit it. And the mannequin had on a bonnet. And she told people who were passing by, when they saw this light shining on the mannequin that it was Abigail. She also had the rocker moving back and forth, so she could create images like that. And people seem to like ghost stories. So to this day, I get calls every year. When you start looking in August, September, people are starting, they'd like to book something for a ghost, maybe a seance or Ghostbusters or something like that. But we did not find any ghosts there. When we were fixing up the building, we put a new roof on. And so it's still, the stories are still out there. Today we use it as a nature center. Our naturalists are stationed there and out on the beach. We do different programs like seining, where people can go by. And a seining is a 10-foot net. So they scrape the bay with the net and they bring it up on shore, and you can see all the things that are caught in the net, and the naturalists will identify it. And Battery Lewis. Battery Lewis is at Hartshorn Woods Park. This Battery Lewis was built during World War II. This is the big gun that was there back during the war. This gun was only fired once for a test, and it broke windows within a 5-mile radius. And it was never shot again, but the battery was built to help protect our shoreline during the war. Now, the original gun is no longer there, but the park system was able to obtain another 16mm gun to put up there at Battery Lewis. And we've also opened up the battery. So now we have tours every weekend through the summer. You can take a tour of Battery Lewis. You can go inside, you can hear the stories, how people lived or soldiers lived there at that time, and learn about the entire installation. But we're not just facilities. We've got plenty of recreation in the parks too. We have lots of places where you can discover your inner artist. We have art classes throughout the parks, but we also have a creative arts center, which is a premier center. There's nothing like it in the state of New Jersey, where you can learn pottery, painting, jewelry making, all sorts of arts. It's always a place where you can learn something new. We have lots of children's programs, and we're always coming up with new things and ideas. Of course, you can get healthy and fit. You can take a class, or you can just walk on the trails, biking, hiking, whatever you'd like to do. We have lots of sports and tennis and all sorts of things. A great place to just come and let your kids be outside and have some fun, or enjoy some family time. We have canoe rentals right here at Marlow Lake, or a place to discover nature. And that we have naturalists based throughout the park system. So they have hikes and tours and all sorts of naturalist programs. It's also a great place to meet some new friends. Especially, you can also volunteer. We have lots and lots of volunteer opportunities at the park system. This photo here happens to be with our trails. And I know you can't see me, but I'm right there, up there in that photo. I'm on the very left-hand side. I'm behind the lady who's kneeling, and that's me standing behind her. But this is a trails volunteers, and they go out and they help build and take care of, maintain the trails throughout the park system. We have lots of other opportunities in gardening. We have, I mentioned the SPUR program before. There's lots of volunteers who help with that program. We have outdoor adventures with volunteers with that. The Creative Arts Center volunteers at that. So there's many, many ways, if you're interested in volunteering, to get involved with the park system. Special events. We have lots of races. Harvest Home Festival, I mentioned Longstreet Farm before. In September, they have Harvest Home Festival. What a great way to come out and learn about the farm. And they have a lot of good things going on. They have a blacksmith. They have people who sing, quartets. They even have a pie eating contest. There's lots to do. Thompson Park Day comes up in October. And what a festive day. Right mid-October, around October 17th, I believe it is this year. You bring your kids out. There's lots to do. Crafts, entertainment, hay wagon rides, all sorts of things. So it's free. It's all free. So except for those rides there, but most of it is free. So it's a good way to come out and enjoy the day. Creatures of the Night, that's at Huber Woods Park, where everybody can get a ticket for a evening hay wagon ride. Now, the creatures are not scary. They are actually volunteers or a staff who dress up in costumes and do a little presentation of what their character is representing, such as an owl or another creature who might be out at night, but it's not really scary. It's just fun. Earth Day events we have all throughout the park system. And coming up in September too, up at Bayshore Waterfront Park in Port Monmouth, it's kind of an end of season. Come and enjoy what we have to offer at our Wind and Sea Festival. There are balloons, there are sailing, there are kayak rides. You can give your hand trying anything. Sand sculptures. So there's lots to do. Coming up soon in July, a lot of people don't know that the park system actually runs the Monmouth County Fair, and we collaborate with Monmouth County 4-H. So this year we're coming back. We didn't have a fair last year, but this year we're going to have a fair July 1st through the 25th. We're going to have lots of rides and entertainment, the home and garden tent, the naturalist tent. The county will be there, and 4-H, of course, with the animals. So we invite you to come out and enjoy your Monmouth County Fair. There's lots of ways to find out about the parks. One is you can get a program guide, a parks and program guide. There are about over 500 programs each year, and there are 4 seasonal and 1 summer camp issue of this magazine. You can just call us or find one in any of the park areas when you visit. To learn more about our park system, you can go to our website, monmouthcountyparks.com. There you can learn about upcoming events, programs, learn about the parks. It's a wealth of information. We also get things out in social media. But if you want to write to us or email us, I should say, you can make an inquiry at info@monmouthcountyparks.com, or you could give us a call at 732-842-4000, extension 4312. And if you call during regular hours, 8 to 4:30, you'll actually get somebody live to talk to. So I hope you come out and enjoy the parks. I hope I've given you a little insight. If you have any questions, please let me know.
So Karen, we do have one question.
Sure.
Is the Friends of Parks part of the park system, or is that separate?
The Friends of the Parks are a nonprofit agency that actually does support the parks. They are housed in actually Thompson in this park here, but they have a board of directors and they run separately. But they were organized to help support. They help support buying tools for some of our volunteers. They help with programs. They help with people who may need help in getting into a program, or they help us in many, many ways.
And again, the website for the park system is the best way to go about researching each of the individual parks and the programs they have. So Deep Cove Gardens, I know you mentioned, and I just, in case some people aren't familiar with it, I happen to live very close to there. That's in Middletown, correct?
Yes, it is in Middletown,
And
Red Hill Road.
Yes, and Longstreet Farm is in Homedale.
Yes,
Mount Mitchell, is that considered Highlands or Atlantic Highlands?
that's in Atlantic Highlands.
Atlantic Highlands, okay.
Yes.
And historic Wallingford, what town is that? And that one I wasn't familiar with.
That is down in Lower Freehold, Eastern Freehold.
Okay, okay. And
Upper
Thompson,
Freehold, excuse me, Upper Freehold.
Upper Freehold, okay.
Yes.
And Thompson Park is in Lincroft.
It's in
And
Lincroft.
you're so many of your slides had the beautiful summer weather. And again, I live not far from Thompson Park, but this winter you had snowshoeing and cross-country skiing, which was amazing to see.
Yes.
People enjoying that.
When we have snow, yes, we groom trails. And this year we did have some snow, and it was everybody had a lot of fun. They came out and they could do cross-country skiing throughout the parks. We groomed those trails so people can really enjoy it. And
that was great to see.
A lot of people did it this year.
Right. And you can bring your own, or you have what they call the ski hut, right? And you can actually rent it and try. Yes. Okay, that's perfect. Yes, that's good to know.
Bring your own skis, or we have rentals for snowshoes too, as well. You might want to give a hand at that.
That's great. And you referenced the Creative Arts Center, which is at Thompson Park. Yes. I know that's on my bucket list. I've always wanted to try pottery. So I always, cut through there and watch the students on the pottery wheel. And that's such an amazing thing to see.
It is amazing. And very, very popular. So yeah, very popular.
Do we have any? Okay, we do have a couple more questions. They came in. Is there a fee system in any of the parks for entrance parking, using the grills and things of that nature?
Well, at Seven Presidents, we do have a fee, and there is a fee for parking. And we do need to put that in place, because if our beach was free, you can't imagine how crowded it would be, because all the towns charge a fee for the beaches. And really, we need that to help maintain the beach. Now,
it's a beautiful beach.
Yeah, all the parks are free. There is a fee for our spray ground, which we had to put in place because, once again, it was free, but it brought on such crowds that it was hard to control. So now there's a registration with a small fee of $3 per person.
Okay. Yep. Someone said, thank you so much. I've had so many wonderful birthday parties for my daughters at Huber Woods, a personal favorite, and Doorbrook.
Yes.
Lots of memories, I'm sure, for lots of us.
Well, it offers so much that you can't say it all at one time.
I know. But this was wonderful. And I'm just going to come back on my video a second. So thank you so much, Karen. We wish we could see you. Hopefully next time we'll get to see you maybe in person and not over a video. But this was a wonderful information. And someone commented that they learned things that, again, there's just so much to explore in our Monmouth County Park system. And I think we're very blessed to live here in this county.
Thank you. I hope everybody comes and visits often. We love seeing people in the parks.
So we can stop by the visitor center at Thompson, and we can go and say hi to Karen.
Yes, you can.
Good.
Yes, you can.
Well, thank you so much, Karen. And thank you to Dr. Gavin. I know she had a jump off because she has patients to see. And thank you all again for attending. This is our last Lunch and Learn for the spring summer semester. So I wish you all a happy and healthy summer. We will see you in the fall. And again, keep a lookout for the class listing in your emails. So thank you again. And I'm just going to share a curtain slide that shows all of our presenters and their contact information. So just bear with me. Oh, Karen, just stop your screen share for a second. And then I can share mine. This way, everyone has the contact info. Okay, so Dr. Gavin's contact info is there, Karen, and the email for the website for the park system, and of course our scan office and email.
If they want to email me, I can give you my email address.
Sure, Karen, go ahead.
It's karen.livingstone@monmouthcountyparks.com.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you again for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you again, Karen.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.